All right, so let's talk a little bit about our neighbor to the north, Canada. Canada's population includes many groups of people from different lands, and what's interesting about Canada is they really retain their cultural identity. So, our central question is what are some key features of Canada's geography and culture? Canada has more than 50 ethnic groups. Two-thirds have European ancestry. So that's about 40% British, 25% French. Um, Other backgrounds include German, Italian, Ukrainian. People come from other nations, Africa, Asia, um, and under 5% are people who are of what's considered First Nations. And the First Nations are the people that have been in North America for at least 12,000 years. Remember, we said 12 to 35,000 years ago were your first migrants from Asia into North America. Lower ocean levels, possibly due to an ice age, allowed the Bering Strait land bridge to become above sea level where natives could cross and begin to populate North America. Okay, the French and Indian War really falls more into the sphere of history, so we're going to skip over this for now. All right, I do want you to know they are a very multicultural country. Uh, French and English Canadians tend to keep separate identities and languages. Other Canadian groups retain their homeland traditions. Canada has a actual policy of multiculturalism or acceptance of many cultures. Um, there in Canada as well as here in the U.S., people have freedom of religion, speech, and assembly, and equal protection under the law. Um, I also want you to know that they have a relatively small population of 31 million. You contrast that with our over 300 million. So they have a sort of a small population, and three-fourths of those populations live in the southern cities um, near the Great Lakes and also Vancouver, just over the U.S. Canadian border from Washington or Seattle area. Vancouver is, like I just said, Canada's largest port and trades heavily with Asia, being on the Pacific coast. Um, has a large Asian population and also many refugees, which sought uh, asylum in Canada due to war and persecution going on in their own land. Toronto is more above the New York um, side of the U.S., and it is the province of Ontario's capital, home to 25% of Canada's immigrants. All right, levels of government. Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. The central government handles the defense, trade, and banking and immigration. Provincial governments handle education, hospitals, and taxes. And there are territorial governments as well, but they have few responsibilities. Canada is a constitutional monarchy, and the Constitution kind of lays out its government powers, and they owe allegiance to a monarch or a king or queen. Their head of state, or the British monarch rather, is Canada's head of state and selects a governor general as a representative. Monarch governor generals have little real power and simply represent historical traditions. I do want you to know that their legislature is divided in two, just like ours. It has a House of Commons and a Senate, and their legislature is referred to as Parliament, just like British Parliament that was studied in civics. Um, The leader of the largest Commons Party is declared Prime Minister. So their government is structured much like the British government is structured. And for our purposes, we don't need to know the judiciary. Some French-speaking Canadians are separatist and want Quebec to become an independent province. That was actually defeated by a vote in 1980 and 1995. Quebec has a lot of high-tech industries that are important to Canada's economy. As I stated earlier, they make a policy out of multiculturalism. Quebec's government has various laws to preserve the French heritage, and there's a federal Canadian Multicultural Act of 1988 that guarantees an individual's right to preserve the cultural heritage. Okay, they have an industry, of course, based on natural resources. Fishing, fur trade are all, natural resources that were first drawn upon. One thing that they're really known for now is oil, and we'll discuss that a little bit in class. 80% of mined materials from Canada are shipped as exports. Exports are goods that are traded to other countries. The main exports are wood, paper, fuel, minerals, aluminum, and wheat. Canada and U.S. have a valuable trade partnership. Most of Canada's exports go into the U.S. We won't need to really know this. Moving goods across vast land. Canada, as stated before, is probably the second largest country in as far as land area. So, getting goods from coast to coast can present an issue. Transportation corridors are pathways that make transportation easier. There's a transcontinental railway that runs from coast to coast. Now, transportation barriers are geographic features that slow or prevent transportation. So, in that case, think of snow and ice that tend to block travel up north. Industry tends to develop slow in these areas for that reason. Alright. And Canadians have been ranked the best country based on their citizens' health, education, and wealth. And they are still seeking a form of national identity, a sense of belonging to a nation. Many Canadians are bilingual. English and French are the official language. French-speaking people are referred to as francophones. And some words or pronunciation in Canadian English sounds different from that of the U.S. English. And that's pretty much all you needed to know for this section on Canada. We'll see you again for Mission 3. Thank you.